we gathered all of you here because we want to do this exercise. So right now, what we want to do, or what the MPA wants to do, and through this forum, thank you, is to get ground feedback on this, right? Ground feedback started this initiative. It went up to the correct people, the correct open-minded people, and said, let's listen to general population, let's listen to the voters, let's listen to the sea space users who want to help. And you know, Malcolm Gladwell says it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert. But guess what? Collectively here, we are the experts, right? We can be boat owners, we can be company owners, we work in WSH, we work in paddle clubs. Collectively, we are the experts, okay? And we will be able to set the course next, please. Yeah, so this is what we're going to talk about. A new volunteer program, right? We need ideas how we're going to do this better. Next. So you see all those papers, flip charts and markers on the table. That's what this homework is for. And as I said,
the process has to be proximity based. So if the rescue is nearer to the police coast guard, they should be able to act immediately. Rather than talking to MPA give the go ahead, then the police coast guard will. So it should be whoever that is nearer to the site should actually respond. So there are places that are nearer to the coast and there are open water, and these are very different. So we need to really differentiate between, is it nearer to the coast, or are we operating at the open water and even into the international water at the limits. We also are looking at the possibility of tapping on the ecosystem. There are many hovercrafts that are operating out there, so the master, the deckhands, they are experienced people, so we should tap on them. I also find that it is important to formalize the role of some of the volunteers as witnesses. The point on how to ensure safety and training of volunteers is to make sure that we have an accredited training program. And then there's a refresher, which include both theory and practical. And finally, I think we need to maintain currency. There's no point somebody who has trained 2 years ago and trying to execute a rescue. So
actually even sustainable to have a dedicated group of volunteers running this thing. So it comes down to our next point where the first response is really more important. The focus here is really how do people actually around the waters know that someone needs to be rescued. So some of the things that we came up with and talked about is that can we write on apps that are readily available, like SG Secure app? You know, now we are only talking about Sentosa waters, but what about East Coast waters? Know how to use VHF radios, but they know how to use their handphones. So this could be one of the things that we could really look out. And it's also a platform for education reach out. Right? Then there is also a wider reach for agencies that we really need to look out for. For example, in East Coast Park, it belongs to NParks. So is NParks on board with this program? Are they going to put lifeguards? Does the lifeguards have the correct resources to do this kind of support? For example, a jet ski. You know, a jet ski can easily reach out very quickly.
All of us unanimously want to help, but the way we can help is really two-tier. One, anybody can be a lookout. So that's where the app, you know, will come in handy. An app that basically notifies people, you know, there is an emergency on the water, right? Or something where you can use to notify a group or volunteer database to say there's an emergency on the water. So that's a lookout. The app should also have a function that immediately notifies MPA and PCG of this. Right? And also, perhaps, if you're the one in trouble, if you can activate a live tracking button on the app, that would be good, because at least then they will know where to rescue you from. It's very hard for someone who's like a recreational paddler to say, I'm at Buran Channel. Most of the time, they don't even know where they are. They're like, I'm at some island between this yellow thing and the blue thing. You know, and it's so hard to find any Tom, Dick and Harry to go down and try to attempt a rescue when they are not qualified or competent to do so, because then you get a whole string of rescues, you know, and a lot of the dangerous situation just escalates from there. So from an ops perspective, once PCG and NPA have been notified, they should be the central command, right? they will coordinate the efforts. So we can have a closed group of volunteers that can be charterers, boat owners, paddlers, ocean paddling clubs, whatever it is, right? A closed group that have been certified in various forms of training, which could be just search, could be search and rescue, it could be first aid, whatever, but they need to have the qualifications and the skill set.
Police Coast Guard, okay, I'm in charge of the marine education. So anyway, what I shared, I think the most important thing about this volunteer system is basically the communications, the apps. Okay, from water jet propulsions and so on. So we can't possibly go to all the remote areas. Of course, some of our vessels we have rigs and so on, but it will take time for us to launch it and so on. So during a search and rescue operations, of course, which have a smaller, maybe liner class or smaller boats, that will come handy for remote areas. But the important part of it is actually in any search and rescue operation will be the coordination. Okay, the one scene commander, the person that takes charge. So the last thing we want to know is everyone in the scene of search and rescue we have 200 vessels, kayakers, paddlers, that first timer, and just like our system of foreign domestic workers. Before you can actually engage a FWD, you actually have to go to a online some form of online like called a course. Okay.
Of the level of competencies or proficiency or training. Of course, in the search and rescue in water, you need to be really proficient to conduct it, right? The first thing you learn from lifeguard lesson is don't jump into the water. Try to throw things to the water and let the people grab the last. That alerting a lot of people is good. So alerting all the people in the nearby zone is good. Then similar concept is on the MyResponder or SG Secure. Somebody mentioned that. In those apps you have everybody agree MyResponder is good. Everybody agrees SG Secure is good. Everybody know that there is a CPR course and all this. But only one person on this table has installed it. so the keyword is not really on having the app is good, but the keyword is how do we increase that number of subscribers to come in. Is it a volunteer system or is it a mandatory system? Say no. We do not need additional recognition or awards so that to motivate us to do the CPR. Maybe the rest of the table no, but for me, if you give me a Mercedes-Benz, I will. But it seems like the
United States Coast Guard supports AMVER, which is the Automated Mutual Assistance Vessel Rescue System, which is mostly for deep draft ships. When a rescue comes in or Mayday comes out, we notify via telex, GMDSS, VHF, to all vessels in the area saying there's an incident going on, because we do not have the resources or funding to. The coordination aspect is the most important section. I don't know enough about how Singapore works, whether it's going to be PCG or MPA or whatever it may be that does that coordination. But once you alert people in the area there's an issue going on, taking those communications to a specified VHF channel to coordinate the rescue effort, having it as it is, showing up and being next to somebody in the water and providing a life jacket is good enough for the first stage, right? They don't have to pull somebody in. Finding them first until more capable assets get on scene is one of those initial steps to let them know that you're there, we have help coming, and we don't need to endanger ourselves further. But providing people nearby to help out in that situation is one of those. Is getting those eyes and ears, letting everybody. If you see something, say something, report that kind of in, report those incidents. Having those additional plans in place to make sure the communications are smooth. There's nothing worse than having vessels nearby that could have helped out if they'd known about it, right? We do this in the Coast Guard too with coordination of maritime events. If we know there's a big boating regatta going on, we'll ensure that there's additional safety escorts or what.
Also, we don't have to have a big group to start with. A small group is okay, and then you just have regular training. And I think with that, they can really help the rescuers. There's the real-time information on environmental conditions, how the wind like, how the current is like. If we can have the access to that platform, that would be great, so we actually know where the course to take, what's the course to take, and where's the wind direction, so we can rescue. I said everyone can be a spotter, right? And then if you're at the coastline, you see some sign of distress, you can actually hit the button and send out the information that, hey, this person needs help. But we also have to understand that I think volunteers come in different tiers. So one can be the spotters, right? Spotters in case, in a way, at the coastline, or even if you're at sea, we want to see whether the app can actually help us to, it's like your Waze app where you have, hazard spotted, and then you have, is the hazard still there? So it's an ongoing kind of like real-time information that we can get.
So for that, I'll just hand over to my colleague.
Hi, my name is Lisa and I'm a yacht broker with Asia Marine. So if anybody's looking to buy some boats, you know who to call, okay? Okay, so I think obviously prevention is better than rescue.